Good day to you on this Thursday, August 28th, 2025. We're going to be saying 2026 before you know it, which is kind of hard to believe, but today is actually day 240 out of 365 of this year. So we have 25 days until autumn begins here in this part of our globe. I should say hemisphere. So no real major holidays to speak of, I don't believe. So that's not particularly of interest today. Weather-wise, here in the New York City area, very, very pleasant. It's going to be cloudy, high of 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 degrees Celsius. So it should be pretty nice. And then it's going to even get sunnier, although not hotter, in the coming days. And then I wanted to find out about another city, but I didn't want to pick a big one. So I was looking at the world's most, let's see, I'm looking it up again here, sorry. The most northern inhabited cities or towns in the world. And it is called Longyearbyen, which is a Norwegian town. And today their temperature reaches a scorching 46 degrees Fahrenheit, or 8 degrees Celsius. So that is their high. Now their low is just a few degrees lower. So the low is 42 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 degrees Celsius. But interestingly about Longyearbyen, it is located on the Svalbard archipelago. It's about 800 miles from the North Pole, and it has about 2,300 residents. They have a supermarket, an international airport, a hospital, a school, a leisure center, and a university facility there. So I think they probably do a lot of research there, is my guess if I kept digging. They experience polar nights where the sun does not rise from November to February, no sun rising. And the midnight sun, where it shines 24 hours a day from April to August. So reading here, it also says that home to the Svalbard reindeer and is an area where polar bears live. So if you want to live with polar bears, head to Norway and then take a flight up to the archipelago. And due to its extreme location, the town has a revolving door society where many people, especially newcomers, tend to leave within a few years, making it less cohesive than a mainland community. I can only imagine what kind of culture that would be community-wise. But they have facilities. They've got coffee. They've got, looking at pictures here, quite a place. I kind of want to go there just out of curiosity. Have you been there? If you have, drop a comment. I'd love to hear about it. I doubt it's probably as close to the North Pole as most people would ever get going there. So that's pretty interesting. So what's going on? Well, I was thinking about, with everything going on an individual level and in society, I keep thinking about that phrase. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you've used it, but the phrase, "This too shall pass." And, you know, there's something about that phrase that's, it's very powerful, but it's inadequate. It's not the whole picture. And the first thing I was thinking about it was, when I first heard the phrase many, many years ago, "This too shall pass," I thought of it in terms of, whatever's going on will go away. And essentially there was the idea that you'd end up back where you were. But the older I get and the more situations I encounter, I realized that thinking was flawed because, this too shall pass. I mean, if I have a stomach ache, it usually passes. There's lots of things that are temporary and go away, but there's also a lot of things that when they pass, something new has replaced it. And there are other situations where this too shall not pass, that when we lose somebody, or maybe you lost a job and it's final, or someone passes away, or, you have a serious health situation that is irreversible. that you have to live with in perpetuity. That isn't going to pass. It's going to keep changing. And that's really the reality of our existence, that yes, the feeling might pass about something. And sometimes the circumstances may change in our favor if we just kind of wait it out, right? But what are we doing in the meantime? Are we just waiting it out passively? Or are we getting on with getting on, And it's okay to take a break, but we really need to stay engaged, as hard as that may be. So in whatever realm we're talking about, if you're called to engage, politically, to try and change a policy or change leadership, what does that look like? Because leaders don't get elected on their own, right? And a lot of people are elected not so much by the people who did vote, but by the people who didn't vote, who kind of sat it out and said, well, it doesn't really matter. Whatever's going on, I can't change it. And I'll let other people decide, right? And so the same is true for, I think, work and relationships and everything else, that you could be going through a season of difficulty. Let's say you're losing a friendship that you really care about and it's just over for whatever reason. Maybe it needs to be over, but you're still grieving it. What passes isn't that the situation, returns to normal, that the schism, passes and now you're back to being friends again. You're never, even if you do repair a relationship, you don't go back to what you were. If you repair a relationship successfully, you actually move forward in a distinctly and uniquely beautiful way, because now you've built even more equity in the relationship. You've overcome some kind of friction, a breakdown, and you've worked through it together. That's a strengthening, a tempering. So what can pass is our perspective. What can pass is my emotional reaction to something. What can pass are, certain behaviors that I'm kind of doing reflexively, out of defensiveness, out of fear, out of depression, whatever it is, that can pass. But I think what's really important when you realize that we're in this for the long haul, we're in this, I mean that broadly, life. There are a whole bunch of incidents in our lives that are going to happen and that are happening, and in society more broadly, that may feel very, very extreme. And as I think about that phrase, oh, this too shall pass, I think about how inadequate that is in and of itself for facing these moments. What will pass is my feeling about it. And whatever happens on the other side, it's going to be different. Whatever. Because life, the universe, people, nature is dynamic. It's constantly changing. So if I put my energy on my emotional state and my mental state, my mindset and my physical health, because that's very, combined with that, then the phrase, this too shall pass, doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything. It just means I'm accepting what is and working on what I can and letting go of the things that I can't. It's essentially the serenity prayer in action. So to me, that's what, as we wrap up the summer here, summer to me, things slow down a bit. People are on vacation more. There is a sense more broadly of just kind of a little more relaxation, people out of the office more. There's this a little bit more room to sort of observe and take a look at things. What are you satisfied with? What are you not satisfied with? Now, one thing that does pass is summer, usually, although it's getting hotter all year round, but that passes, and then we get into fall and we get into winter. And that's where I think if we've taken a little time to accept what is and decide what path we're going to course through, then it makes those other seasons even more actionable. So I don't know. I've been just thinking about some of these phrases that I can misinterpret at times because maybe I want to just hide from something. But no. The calling is to engage even when we're not feeling great about it. And then the feeling will pass. The situation, that's always going to be changing. So what is it that you need to accept right now in order for you to take meaningful action in an area that you do have control over? That's the question. I hope that's helpful to you. Always great to check in. Looking forward to being back tomorrow with you. And in the meantime, be good to yourself and others. Bye-bye for now.